Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now this is a different perspective. I discussed yesterday about putting these gauges in, so that's all I'm doing is I'm putting the temperature gauge in. I got my line pushed through for the oil gauge. Notice I'm using the copper line, not that plastic. Guys, don't use that plastic, man. That plastic is hot, it ends up leaking, it ends up swelling. Just spend the extra couple bucks to get the copper lines. That's all I'm doing. We're going to go ahead and take this off, install the gauge. I might have a little bit of water here. Little Teflon tape so it don't leak. Well, being out here the last hour or so, I've noticed a lot of things wrong with this car. Now, when you end up inheriting someone else's car, you also end up inheriting their problems. And I can clearly see a lot of problems I've discovered on this car in the last hour or so. I figured out why our fuel gauge ain't working. Now this car was did not have an electric fuel pump in the tank. It just had your regular sending unit with your float for your gas gauge. And now I figured out why the gas gauge is not working in this car. We'll get to that in a minute. We're gonna go ahead and get this gauge set up. Now normally I like putting these on the side of the block, but I don't know if you can tell, but the header here, right here, there's a little plug that comes out that goes into the head itself. And I usually put my sensors up there for my temperature gauge, but with the header being there, I'm not even going to try to fight that. We're just going to put it on top of the intake, which is fine. You still get an accurate reading on it. Wrong one. Glad y'all back, man. Glad y'all liked that last video I posted. I see I'm up to 400 and some subscribers. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate all the extra subscribers that I'm getting lately. Make sure that's water. So I did take. Yep, we got water in there. I also noticed an issue. Now this car does have brand new brakes on it all the way around. It's got a new caliper on this side. It's got new rubber lines front and back. I see a couple feet of brand new brake line in the back. But I also figured out why the reservoir was empty. And I'll also get to that as well here shortly. Y'all know the mission is to get this car looking like I showed you in the last video. With a nice candy apple red with the ground effects, with the original Z28 rims, the BF Goodrich wet leather tires on it, the ground effects painted gray. There's a lot to do on this car, but I want to get all the wrenching done like you see before I start doing any kind of body work within the next few weeks. But I just keep on finding more problems with this car. One man's trash, another man's treasure. All right. And that's torqued. That'll be for our temperature. I'll reroute that another time. Now this is going to be the fun part. Now like I said, this is what the kit usually comes with, these gauges, these plastic lines. And plastic and heat don't match or mix very well. And I've had so many times that even after you crank these down with that knurl, these end up pinching, they end up swelling, they end up leaking. Before you know it, you're locking up your engine. Now in the back of the block here, there's a plug. You're not gonna be able to see it, but you Chevy guys will know it's back here. It's down here below the distributor. That's where I like to put the gauge at. But we're gonna have to get, I gotta get my light. I gotta get another light. way I can see what I'm doing. Here. Give me that camera, I'll see if I can show you. Right down in there. Not sure if you can see it. Right, see if I get my hand in here. I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but it's right, where is it? Right there. There's a little plug right there. You got to take that out. If you're taking that out, you could put your connection there for your gauge. All right, we got that one going. Now I'm just hooking up the connection for the oil gauge. This is going to be the fun part. Warming this line down in there without dropping that little knurl. That's what I call them. And then you want to bend it just enough. You don't want to bend it too much. There's only copper. You will pinch this line. So we'll put a little gradual bend on it like I am. Oh, you can't see it, but... Oop! Dropped it. Now I'm not sure if you can see my hand or where it's at. I'm down here tightening up this fitting for the brass oil line for the gauge. Now I don't want to over tighten these because you will strip these out and they will pop off and you got oil spewing everywhere. Not sure if you can see this, but I'll give you a better look here in a moment. That should be pretty good. You see that in there, fellas? Huh? Right there. Yeah. You want to follow it back. Make sure there's no pinches in it nowhere. Make sure it's not up against the engine. Just like so. We got that going through the firewall. Alright, we got this one hooked up too. Make sure it's not up against anything. That one's going through the firewall as well. Alright, we got our temperature gauge plumbed in. We have our oil gauge plumbed in. And like I said, there's a slew of issues with this car. And I'm just going to use this video to name off a bunch of problems that I have with it. Now, starting off, putting this engine back together, I noticed that the pulley system they used is totally off. You're at least, we're off a 1/16 of an inch or more between the water pump pulley, the crank pulley, and the alternator pulley. So it's making this V-belt rub and burn. So I went ahead and I ordered the proper pulleys for this alignment. I'm just going to go ahead and redo the whole front end of this because all of this is just wrong. The alignment is off, everything's melting. So that's an issue we're having. Now another problem I'm having is all these gangs of wires. We got wires here. We have the return fuel line from the gas tank that's hooked up to nothing. That's up against the body of the car through the headers. We got a loose oil dipstick. Well, it is what it is. We can fix that. Come on around here. We have various cut wires. Now I have tested this. This is a hot wire. You have all these electronics from what the engine was in here before. And I'm not sure. I want to say it was probably a 305. But now if you come around and look here, we have new calipers, we have new brake lines, and of course I installed the links myself yesterday. Now this is all done by somebody else. Even the struts look about to be new. Now coming along the car, now I noticed why the brake reservoir was empty. Zoom on in here. Anybody see what's wrong with this picture? Can anybody point out what's wrong? Besides having brand new brakes. Something is out of place. Look at that. It's not even in the shoe right here. So all of our fluid is right down here in the drum. So props to the guy who put brakes on, but didn't pay attention to putting it back together because the spring is totally not in the right place. And of course our bushing and our kickout for those shoes are not in the right place. Furthermore, come on up here. These are just problems I'm noticing. Notice the big hole in the back of the Camaro. Now, yes, this is a common thing for guys to do when the fuel pump goes or they want to change the fuel send unit. It's easier just to cut a hole in the back of the car. I've seen this 100 times. It is a pain in the butt to drop the tank in these. Now, what I've noticed is this is our ground wire and this is our hot wire to our fuel gauge. Now, I've already taken my test light. There is power going to this. and it is grounding, but the gauge is not working. So I am going to order another sending unit. But they had also come down here. You can see where they installed the electric fuel pump. Can you see that? No, not necessary. And not to mention, whenever they took it apart, attempting to take the gas tank out, they took out the panhead bar and did not replace it. So there's suspension pieces missing. Great. But I did find that piece on eBay, and that one is on order and will be here in a few days. Now, they took the hot and the ground wire to the sending unit in the gas tank for the gas gauge and wired it and installed the hot for the pump. There's no need for electric fuel pump on this car. I'm going to go ahead and install one on the block, a manual pump on the block, and I'll also make a video of that. But that's just another issue we're having with this car. Furthermore, guys, when you're cutting these out, I love the idea that you all do it, but don't cut the gas tank. See that? See that? So now I have to drop the tank, empty the tank, braze and weld this, put the tank back up in order to, you know, not have fumes in the back of the car. Because I always wonder why my garage smelled like gas. And there it is. They ended up cutting right through the tank. And it's a good tank. I can save the tank. I can go ahead and get this down, weld it, put it back up, put a new unit in, and we should have a working gas gauge. I'm gonna go ahead and fix this problem right away. Man, I hope they did. Yep. Oh, I hope this is still good. Well, it don't appear to be. It looks like we're buying another. Yep. Oh, no, it's too pushy. Might be able to push that back in. There it goes. There it goes. Might be able to save this. Highly doubt it, but again, this is from not paying attention. Hopefully that is not bad. Grab a rag. You don't want a bunch of crap in your hole, you know? Clean all the goo out of the hole. Got some rust in there. Maybe been sitting on here a while. Hopefully this will go back in and seal. It probably won't. I'll probably end up changing this. It'll probably end up leaking again. But, let's see if I can get that boot back on there. Almost. Oh man, is that even loose? The cylinder is actually loose on. Almost got it, but it's just being a bear. Yeah, we're gonna end up replacing this. There we go. That's how it's supposed to sit in there like that. Like so. Wow. Wow. Well, figured out why. That one. Sorry, fellas. Fellets. There we go. That's better. I don't like the way it's positioned in there personally. Yeah, that's why it's not even on there correctly. Not even sure if these are the right ones for this car, and I do see this being a problem again. Yeah, looks like we're ordering some parts. Do not like that at all. See how it's off there? How much it's off, that gap? It's supposed to be sitting like that. Like so. That's the way to see it. Yeah, we can't have that. We gotta take all this apart and figure out what's going on in here. Well, this video is not to show me fixing stuff. It was pretty much a video to show you what's wrong with this car. So that is another issue. But I don't want to start tearing this apart till I get some parts for it. Definitely want to order in some new wheel cylinders. Well, it looks like I didn't get a car that didn't need brake work, because this does need brake work. We are definitely going to be replacing the wheel cylinder, and I'm sure we're going to have the same issue on the other side. I don't see any brake line fluid leaks anywhere, but I just went in, pushed the brake pedal, and these aren't even moving, so it could be air in the system, but we're not going to worry about that. That just adds to the list of the issues that's wrong with this car that I'll be working on here. Now, continuing with the rest of the car, both of these shocks are shot. And everybody knows who's had these cars, these back glasses are heavy as hell. So those are on order. I'm picking those up tomorrow. And of course, the locking mechanism for the electric trunk or the tailgate latch does not work. It just sits in there. It's all nice and loose in there, so that's an issue. I also ran into another issue when I turned the headlights on and turned the turn signals on. Both the tail lights and the marker lights in front blink. So we have, again, another electrical issue. As you can see, these got to come off. We're going to recover them. But you know what? They got some really nice boom booms back there. You know, they're really concerned about the system in this thing. But, man, a slew of other issues. But, yeah. We need to figure out a placement for these gauges. Now, on my old Z28, I had one of these years ago, and I had a nice set, a 3-inch set, sitting right below here. I think what I'm going to do is just mount these guys right here underneath the dash, kind of like so. I think that position's pretty good. I've already sat over there and tried it. My knee doesn't hit, so that should work. Anybody want to buy a radio? Don't really need it, but at least we know that works. Got new speakers in the front, got new speakers in the back. Again, steering wheel. Not period correct. We have another steering wheel coming, the exact one that's supposed to be on here. Dashboard is coming. That is en route as we speak. And again, this headliner, I don't know what in the heck happened to this liner. It literally looks like a pissed off cat was in here. So that side's got to be replaced. That side's got to be replaced. The car is in solid shape. The floorboards are beautiful. The interior is all intact. Door cards are in really great shape. So the interior is going to clean up pretty good. We're going to do the headliner. We're going to do the bolsters or the sail panels in the back. That's what I call them, sail panels. We're going to replace this dashboard. Try to see if I can't repair this crack right here as well. But this is all interior. Now yesterday you also saw that I went ahead and I replaced this link. This one also has a new rubber hose on this side and a new strut. So yeah. Now I went online on eBay to price this lower ground effects piece for an 86 818, and I couldn't believe they were wanting almost $300 for this piece, just for this one bottom piece. I guess that's the going price. I don't know better, but to me that sounds a little steep for a guy's pocket. So I'm going to have to use my fiberglass skills, and you're going to see me repair this as well. I think that's pretty good for the oil line. It's pretty in there secluded. Looks pretty good. Shouldn't be in a guy's way. Yeah, I'm going to mount the gauges right up top. I like them here. Like I said, I had an 86 Camaro back in the day, and I had a nice set of 3-inch gauges sitting there. And I ran the line the same way you see it here. Probably not the way a lot of guys would do it, but there's really nowhere else to put these gauges. Now, normally I don't even use a radio in a car, and I'll just pull the radio out and put the gauges where the radio goes, because I like listening to the music of the engine personally. I want to go ahead and set these up. I'm going to zip tie, got a zip tie. Tie this line up right here so I don't end up kicking it and pinching it. That's not good. I'm going to hang this line up real quick. Man, the guy who invented zip ties is awesome. Definitely outbeats a coat hanger. Just gonna run this a little bit on this line so it doesn't dangle down. I never claim to be a professional, guys, okay? But as you can see, it's out of the way. We're gonna tuck this up. That's the beauty of copper, is you can bend this and mold it to where you can, you know, get in that contour to the vehicle. Go ahead and put these on real quick. Now you might be saying, why don't you get the original gauges working? Well, I could get the original gauges working. I don't trust them because I know one of them's just a dummy light. And I'm not sure, well, actually the wiring for the original temperature gauge sensor is not even in the engine bay anymore, so. And I trust aftermarket gauges. I like seeing what my stuff is doing in real time. A lot of guys do. And they're fairly easy to hook up, set up. Yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of issues with this car. A lot of it, to me, is, you know, and I get it, a lot of guys can't afford to keep stuff up, but if you're going to go ahead and throw a brand new engine and spend the money to have an engine put in a car, you know, it just makes you wonder why the brakes don't work and other issues such as that, the wiring, cutting up the back for the fuel sending unit. I don't understand either, but OCD's gonna kick in. Better make sure these are straight. Tighten these up real quick. And yes, we are hooking up the volts meter as well. We got a long way to go, guys, to get this car where I want it to look. I'll put up another picture of what the goal is for this car within the next few months, and believe me, we're going to get to that point. The rims are on the way, the dashboard's on its way. I still have to pick out the paint color, the red that I want to choose. Hey, you guys have any ideas on what color red I should put on here? You know, candy apple, something with a lot of metal flake. You know, shoot a guy a message, let me know what you think on a color. But we are definitely going with a red. Yeah. Come on, little buddy. That's the wrong one. No, no, no. There it goes. Just being stubborn. It might be a wrong one. Yeah, that is a wrong one. This one goes on the temperature side. Getting ahead of myself. Now I'm just fumbling over my fingers. It's been a long day. I like to get a little bit accomplished on this car every day. I just noticed there's no gas pedal. There's not even a gas pedal in this thing. So I guess we're going to be putting a gas pedal on it as well. The nice thing about it with this car is it's old enough and parts are cheap enough. Except for the ground effects piece. I just still can't believe how much they want for that. Good God. With shipping, it's $300. Come on, help a guy out, you know? But I get it. There's probably not a lot of them around. Now, if I still lived up north, I'd probably just go to a junkyard up there and snag one up, but And you would think with a dozen of these cars I've had over the years that I'd have one lying around somewhere. I've also had a few Camaros as parts cars. I did buy a bunch as parts cars for other restorations I've done along the years. Yeah, good. There we go, much better. I just know how good this car is going to look when it's finished. Once I get all the wrenching done on this, well, I need a washer for that. Once we get all the wrenching done, we're going to go ahead and start on this body work. I'm hoping to get started body work within the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to be busy. I'm going to figure out this fuel issue. I'm going to run some new fuel lines. I'm going to check out the brakes, figure out that situation with the back brakes. Get that ground effects off on the passenger side and start working on my fiberglass skills. You know what I did? I know what I did. I gotta screw this up there first, and I put these on. I shouldn't have put them on yet. But I'll give you an idea what it's gonna look like, where it's going. I'm gonna set these right here. Just like that. Just like that. Right in the guy's eyes, man. So you can see it. We'll have the lights in there, the nice yellow or white lights. I've always liked these kind of gauges. They're pretty cool. But yep, we're gonna go ahead and get these mounted up and on to the next issue. All right, we got our gauges wired in. We got our bolts, our oil, and our water. I think it looks pretty good. It's pretty hidden. You really can't see it. It's not in the guy's way of his leg. The copper line, you can barely see it. But I like the placement of these gauges. Now, I have no idea what this oil pressure is on this engine. There was never a working gauge on this since I put the engine back together, so we could have pressure from 20 to 40 to 60. A guy is really hoping for 60, so we're going to see this together on what the oil pressure is on this engine. Well, 60 is pretty good speed almost. That works for me. Not bad, not bad. 60, almost 60, that's pretty good. Okay guys, that's going to wrap it up for this little video. I know it's kind of short, it's kind of all over the place. I wasn't really planning on filming, but I figured I'd give you a little window into what I do every night after work. I'm out here turning wrenches, trying to get this thing going. You saw the gauges being installed. 60 PSI and oil pressure is really good. Satisfied with that. I'm not sure what the temperature is going to be on this thing. I'm hoping around 210, 215, you know, maybe a little lower than that because I don't have a thermostat in it, but when it gets daylight outside, we'll fire this thing up, let it run long enough, put the gauge on there. We'll check the gauge and dash and see what the heat is on this thing. But man, there's a list of stuff, guys. You know, we got, now we have, I thought I had a car with no brake issues, but we got to figure out this rear brake situation. We got to figure out this fuel situation. We got to pull out this interior. You know, with the next few videos, you'll see that. The interior is being completely gutted. Seats are coming out, carpet's coming out. Windshield is coming out, dashboard's coming out. We're going to totally revamp this whole interior, clean it up. But once I'm done with all the heavy wrenching on this car, we're going to start working on this bodywork, guys. I showed you all a picture of what this car's going to look like in a couple months, and I guarantee it, when it pulls out of this garage, it will be just like that picture I showed you. Now, boom, show it to you again. You know, that's the goal. We've already got most of the parts here. We got some new louvers here already. We've already got the new grill for it. We got the rims coming. You know, we got tires coming. We got a lot of cool parts that are on the way for this car. So stick around if you like seeing this kind of stuff. Thanks guys for the subscribers I have gained today over my last video. Really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate my current subscribers. I couldn't do this without you guys, man. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, hit that notification button so you know when I post something, because it could be random, it could be anything, like it was tonight. But we got plenty of work to do on this car yet, man. We also got to get back on the Belvedere, and don't forget, I have not forgot about taking adventures. I have a lot of irons in the fire right now. I got a lot of things going on here at home with this car, the Belvedere, the truck. work. I'm just all over the place. I'm helping guys build engines. I'm pretty much spread thin, but I have not forgot about taking adventures. But I do have a surprise coming up here. I'm planning to be July on my next trip, so you guys are going to be shocked on where I'm going and what we're doing, but I'm really excited about that trip, and I can't wait to take you all with me. But again, guys, thank you for watching this video. If you lasted all the way to the end, thank you very much. Until next time, thanks for watching Adventures Bound. Peace.